The year is 2014. Apple is gearing up for a new iPhone launch like every year, but this time it's unlike any they've ever done before, because this launch is going to be the biggest advancement in the history of iPhone. Fun fact, that same day, Apple also revealed the Apple Watch for the first time, which went on to become the #1 smartwatch in the world, which is only fitting because that same day, Apple launched the iPhone 6, which became the #1 smartphone in the world. Here's how that happened. But first, let's go back in time. It is now 2007.
This is a day I've been looking forward to for 2.5 years.
Steve Jobs takes the stage and unveils the first iPhone, arguably their biggest product launch ever. Its multi-touch display and premium design was unlike any other phone ever created, and it truly changed the world. People loved it, and everyone else copied it. So then came the Samsung Galaxy S, which was launched the same year the iPhone 4 came out. Also a revolutionary change to iPhone with the Retina display and stainless steel design. But what was different about the Galaxy S was its size. It boasted an expansive 4-inch 5x3 display, which, although had a lower resolution, was much larger than the iPhone 4. See, every iPhone up to this point kept the same 3.5-inch display size, while others, in this case Samsung, increased their display size year over year, which people came to like. With the launch of the iPhone 5, Apple increased the display size for the first time ever, from 3.5 to 4 inches. But really, they only made the display taller and not wider at all, and they kept this display size for another year with the iPhone 5C and iPhone 5S. It is now 2013 and the iPhone has set the gold standard for smartphones, so much so that the iPhone 5S would end up becoming the best-selling smartphone in the world. But when you compared it to the competition, it had the smallest display. Its competitors would boast at least a 4.5, even 5-inch displays, while it kept a tiny 4-inch size with the same width as the original. In fact, a lot of people wanted to switch away from the iPhone for this reason. People just wanted a bigger iPhone, and although it took a while, it finally happened. The iPhone 6 was the first iPhone in its history to have not only a taller but also a wider display, which people had been anticipating for so long. It was also the first iPhone ever to be offered in two sizes, 4.7 and 5.5 inches, both larger than ever before, giving customers more choice as to what size iPhone they want. Not only that, it also brought in an all-new design, which, although it turned out to be quite controversial, with antenna lines that run across the back and a tiny durability problem due to its thinness, it was still vastly different than any iPhone before it. This brought so much hype around the world, and because of this, it sold like hotcakes. Within 24 hours of availability, Apple had a record 4 million pre-orders for the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, which was actually more than what they had available. In 3 days' time, 10 million iPhone 6 models had already been ordered, and in 3 months, 71.5 million. Now, this success continued with the iPhone 6s. It improved upon the previous generation with the same fundamental design but with stronger materials, a much better camera, 3D touch, and more. It went on to become the second best-selling iPhones of all time, just behind the iPhone 6. But when the 6s launched, Apple continued selling the 6 at a lower price, which enticed many users to just buy that one instead, and Apple saw that. With the launch of the iPhone 7, the iPhone 6 was discontinued for the first time ever, but not for long. In 2017, Apple actually re-released the iPhone 6 in a smaller size in international markets like India and Taiwan, in an attempt to entice new customers in those countries to join iPhone for the first time. The lower price tag would end up bringing so much more sales for Apple. The iPhone 6 I have right here is actually one of the models that Apple made during this re-release, as it comes with 32GB of storage, a configuration that Apple made especially just for this launch. The iPhone 6 is the iPhone model that Apple has sold the longest, selling it for 4 years with a brief 5-month halt after the launch of the iPhone 7. So far, no other iPhone has been sold by Apple for longer. And now, 10 years later, the iPhone 6 is still not only the best-selling iPhone of all time, but also the best-selling smartphone of all time, period. Fun fact, 9 out of 10 of the best-selling smartphones in the world are all iPhones, which is interesting. If you look at it from the outside, the iPhone 6s was exactly the same as the 6, apart from its rose gold color and the S branding on the back. The 7 continued with the same fundamental design, only adding a larger camera bump and removing the headphone jack. And the iPhone 8 also kept the same design, just with a glass back for wireless charging instead of aluminum. The second generation iPhone SE from 2020 used the same design as the 8, with the only change being that the Apple logo is relocated to the center. And the third generation iPhone SE, which Apple still sells today, used the same design as its predecessor. If you view all of these iPhones from the front, you can see that they're virtually indistinguishable from each other. While that may be viewed as a bad thing, it is undeniable that although the iPhone 6 has been long discontinued, its legacy still lives on.